Hello friends, welcome back to this week's video. This week we're going to be doing a how to make a blanket. Probably saw from the title of the video. So I know these blankets were pretty popular like at the end of 2020, quarantine thing. So they're these like really cool chunky knit blankets. This is the one that I made for myself at Christmas time, and I also made my boyfriend's mom one, and my sister made her husband's mom one, and my mom made my grandmother one, so like we all did it together. But I love making them. They're so much fun. I've wanted to make myself another one for a while. I just haven't done it, but my boyfriend has requested me to make him one. Lobby and got a lot of yarn. So this yarn that I got was from Michael's originally, and it's like more of a like knit sweater material. It's still soft, like I still love it, it's so cozy. But this one is the Hobby Lobby brand. It's Yarn Bee, which is like the best for these kind of blankets, and it's super soft and cozy. So I got 4 rolls of the light gray and then 2 rolls of dark gray to just make it a little two-toned. The first step of the blanket to get it all started is to tie a slip knot. And a slip knot, you just want to wrap it around 2 of your fingers and pull it through, but don't pull it all the way through. You want to keep a loop out and the little end out as well. And you want to try to make your end as short as possible, because if you have like a longer tail, it's like the beginning of your blanket, so like you can see it more the longer your tail is. So you just kind of want to try and pull it as tight as you can. And with this, the bigger you make your loops, the like looser the blanket is, and so like it'll be bigger and it'll be like more holey, I guess. And like as you can see on this blanket, I made the loops pretty small because I didn't want it to be super holey, and I wanted to be able to like see the like braidy pattern that is in it. So the bigger the loops, the looser the blanket, and the smaller the loops, the tighter the blanket. So I'm gonna do bigger loops than I did on my own blanket, like I said earlier, just to try and make it bigger for Josh. And then we're going to start doing the first row of the blanket. So the first row is important because you need to count how many loops you do across to make sure that you are keeping track with how many loops on each row. That was a big problem my sister ran into, because she kept ending up with different number of loops, and then it messes up the pattern and it looks weird, so you have to restart. You have your first loop, so this is loop 1, and you literally just take the yarn and you loop it through the back side, and then you have another loop like so. I did 24 loops across, and you end up with this chain-like situation here. So to keep on going and get the longer process of it, you have your last loop on the end, and so you take your yarn and you loop it through, but you're pulling it upwards basically is your goal. And then to start on your next row, so you have, get closer, you have like your loops you can see, and you take it and you put it through the top part of the loop. I'm doing so you take the loose piece and you have the top of the loop, and you just pull it from the back side up through. just gonna count my loops just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Like I said earlier, it kind of messes up your pattern if you don't get the right number. That's all you need at the beginning to count your links. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Perfect. Okay, so we finished our second row of loops. We have all 22 of them. And so at this point, you have your last loop that you did. And so you're just gonna take your yarn again and just pull it through the back and make a loop going straight up, and just keep on doing that. Pull it through the back, keep it all straight up, pull it through the back, and you just have the same pattern of the loops, and you just keep on pulling it through the loops from the back side each and every time. And when you get to the end, obviously you do just exactly what I did. You just pull it through. You make sure you count when you get to the end of each row that you have 24 or 22 or 20 or 10, however big you want to make the blanket. You do it that many, and make your loops as big or as small as you want, depending on how loose or tight you want your blanket to be. So I'm gonna go through and finish this roll, and then I'll show you how to connect your rolls of yarn to each other. Made it to the end of one of the rolls of yarn, so we have to start a new one. And to do that, it's very simple. All you do is just tie the two ends together. I like to keep the knot as close to the end of the piece of yarn as I can, because one, you don't lose as many inches that you could use to make a loop or something, and then also it's not as noticeable when the double knot. Oh yeah, also tie it in a double knot, obviously don't just tie it once. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. I got my last two rolls of yarn, and so now I'm gonna just put these two on, and I'll be back to show y'all how to tie it up at the end, because that is definitely the most difficult part. Okay, so for your last row, you want to make sure that you have a pretty long strand left out, because the last row does take more yarn than the typical row takes. I'm going to show y'all how to do that now. So all of the loops that we have from our last normal row, we're gonna call all of those our old loops in my explanation. So what you do is you're going to make a new loop here on the end, just like you would to start a new row normally. But then you're going to take this new loop that you've made and pull the old loop through your new loop. And then you're going to take your strand of yarn that you have and pull and make a new loop through the old loop. So then you're going to take the new loop over top of the old loop, take the new loop over top of the old loop, and then take the strand, pull through the old loop, and make a new loop. So I made it all the way to the end doing the whole new loop, old loop pattern, pulling through, and we have our last old loop here on the end. So what I like to do is just pull the leftover strand all the way through that last loop. Have quite a bit left over, and you probably will have quite a bit left over because it doesn't ever seem to level out for me. And so I like to tie a knot, and I tie it as big as it needs to be so it won't pull back through the loop. After you tie your knot, however many you want, I like to get a pair of scissors and cut the excess off. And I like to cut as close to the knot as I can, because then you won't just have like a little tail hanging off and it seems a lot more seamless. So another thing that I forgot to mention that I like to do when it's all done and the end is all tied up, I go through and kind of look for the knots of where I tied the two pieces of yarn together, and I either try my best to like shimmy them to where they're like on the underneath side of the blanket, or I'll also make sure that the tails on like the edges of the knot are pretty short so that it is less obvious and seamless, and I like to just go through and cut those off. This is the blanket. Oh, I love it so much. I don't even want to give it to him. I just want to keep it for myself, but it's really long and really cozy. He wanted it to be big. So turned out perfect. I hope that y'all enjoyed watching this video on learning how to make these awesome blankets. And if you do have any questions, if how to finish it on the end is unclear, because I know that is confusing, feel free to comment on this video and I will respond to you as quick as possible with an explanation to hopefully help you out and make it more clear to you so that you can make a blanket for yourself or for a present, because they do make awesome presents. So please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.